Day 1, Twilight of the Object, 6P narrative motive, solitude and observational ordeals. As the department store transitions into the quiet hours of the twilight, Leah, still trapped in her mannequin form, experiences a growing sense of isolation. The store empties, leaving her alone in the dimly lit sports section. The silence amplifies her thoughts, the whispers of the amulet growing more insistent. Use me, see the truth, it urges, playing on her fears and the day's painful observations. During these solitary hours, Leah is subjected to routine maintenance. A store clerk, unaware of the sentient being within the mannequin, casually dusts her off and adjusts her posture for the night. The touch is impersonal, functional, treating her as just another object among the racks. This treatment deepens her existential crisis, blurring the lines between her human desires and her current inanimate state. As the store's lights flicker and dim for closing time, Leah stands motionless, reflecting on the day's events. Her view from the display window offers a glimpse of the world moving on without her. Couples stroll by, shoppers head home, and she remains static, a silent observer to a life she feels increasingly detached from. Variables: DFE, 9092, minor adjustments. Day 1, Twilight of the Object. Narrative motive, vulnerability and fear. The quiet of the department store is abruptly broken by the clatter of a mishap. As the closing crew hustles to finish their tasks, one of them accidentally knocks into the display where Leah, still in her mannequin form, stands. The jolt is sudden, sending her teetering precariously. Her heart, if it were beating, would have stopped. The fear of falling, of breaking apart, is a terrifying echo of her internal fragility. The staff quickly steadies her, oblivious to the crisis they've caused in Leah's world. To them, she is just another mannequin that nearly tipped over, an object, replaceable and non-sentient. This incident magnifies her sense of vulnerability, reinforcing how precarious her existence has become, balanced on the edge of discovery and disaster. As the lights continue to dim and the last of the staff leave, Leah remains in her imposed stance, processing the fear of what could have been, a fall that might have shattered more than just her physical form. The store grows silent once more, leaving her alone with the whispers of the amulet, which seize upon the moment to remind her of her fragility and the supposed security it offers. Variables: 88, Manie 2, shock from the near fall causing stress. Hum, 170, Manie 5, the fear of breaking heightening her existential dread. Conf, 35 unchanged, the incident does not affect her trust issues directly. In movilidad, Day 1, Twilight of the Object. Narrative motive, disconnected and alienated. As the department store's air conditioning is shut down for the night, a surreal chill settles over the area, including the sports section where Leah stands. Despite her mannequin form, which lacks the ability to feel temperature, a metaphorical shiver runs through her. This sensation underscores her profound disconnection from human experiences, a poignant reminder of the cold reality she now inhabits. Leah, frozen in her mannequin pose, reflects on this disconnect. The stillness of the store amplifies the silence around her. Each click and hum of the building's systems a stark contrast to the lack of heartbeat or breath within her. This enforced stillness, this alienation from even the basic human sensation of temperature, feeds into her growing despair, highlighting the artificiality of her existence. The night deepens, and as the store becomes a cavern of shadows and echoes, Leah's thoughts spiral. The amulet's whispers seem to fade momentarily, replaced by a stark realization of her solitude. The very thing that was meant to protect her, to give her insight and control, has instead isolated her more profoundly than she could have imagined. 86.2. The psychological impact manifesting as perceived physical vulnerability. 165. Deepening alien. Narration number 10. Day 1, Twilight of the Object. Narrative motive, temptation to assert control. Convinced that her human senses are unreliable and that the amulet offers her only real insight into the world, Leah decides to embrace the amulet's power more fully. She plans not just to observe, but to potentially influence events around her, perhaps even manipulate physical objects or the perceptions of those who still move freely among the living. The amulet pulses with a dark promise, its whispers more compelling as the night deepens. As the store is secured for the night, one of the employees performs the final tasks, including the maintenance of the mannequin displays. This evening, something unusual occurs. Leah's mannequin form is chosen for a routine repainting. The employee, equipped with a fresh palette of paints intended to refresh the mannequins for an upcoming sale, applies a new layer of facial paint to Leah. The colors are subtly altered. Her features are given a slightly more contemporary style, reflecting the latest fashion trends, but also altering her appearance significantly. This transformation, though superficial, marks a pivotal moment for Leah. As her face is repainted, she feels a surge of the amulet's power. It's as if the new paint not only changes her appearance, but also reinforces her resolve to use the amulet's capabilities to their fullest extent. With a new face, she feels less like the Leah who entered the store and more like an entity crafted by circumstance and the amulet's dark enchantments. Variables: DFE 86, unchanged. Day 1. Twilight of the object, 6 p.m. evening. Narrative motive, loss of self. The department store is silent and deserted as Leah, still in her freshly painted mannequin form, contemplates her reflection in a nearby security mirror. The new facial features, though subtly different, make her look almost unrecognizable even to herself. This external change amplifies her internal crisis. Each brushstroke that altered her appearance feels like an erasure of her human past. As she stands motionless, the weight of her transformation presses upon her. The hardness of the paint on her face symbolizes the hardening of her fate, a reminder of the permanence of her choices. Leah's thoughts wander to what she has lost: the warmth of human touch, the complexity of human emotion, the simple act of breathing. All these are now foreign to her, replaced by an unfeeling facade. The store's closed-circuit cameras, usually unobservant of the still displays, tonight seem to linger on her. It's as if even the electronic eyes can sense her transformation. This moment, captured in the reflection and watched by unseen observers, seals her fate as part of the store's inventory, another product devoid of life. Variables: 84, 2 psychological. Day 1. Nocturnity of reflection, 8 p.m. plevem. Narrative motive, stealthy departure and contemplation. As the department store locks its doors for the night, Leah, transformed from a static display mannequin into a slightly more mobile ball-jointed doll mannequin, prepares for her clandestine journey home. The transition brings a subtle relief, but also a profound unease about her altered state, which now permits limited movement but emphasizes her ongoing transformation. Her first challenge arises immediately: to exit the store undetected. Leah uses her newfound mobility to navigate through the dimly lit aisles, moving with a stealth that feels both empowering and eerie. Her joints click softly with each careful step, a constant reminder of her fragile form. She chooses a hidden route behind stacked boxes and draped cloths, avoiding the night security cameras that sweep the darkened hallways. However, as she approaches the back exit, she faces an unexpected obstacle: an overnight security guard stationed near the doors. Her heart, if it still beat, would have raced with panic. Instead, she freezes, utilizing her mannequin-like ability to blend into the surroundings. Standing perfectly still, she becomes just another unnoticed figure in the store's shadowy corners. After what feels like hours but lasts only minutes, the guard moves away and Leah resumes her careful escape. Variables: DFI. Day 1. Nocturnity of reflection. 8 p.m. Narrative motive, isolation and longing for past normality. Leah, now more agile as a ball-jointed doll, pauses momentarily by the employee break room, where the muffled sounds of laughter and lively chatter leak through the door. The warmth of human interaction within contrasts sharply with the cold, silent passage she occupies. This stark disparity accentuates her isolation, magnifying the loneliness of her existence, separate from human warmth and companionship. The sounds of life, so close yet utterly inaccessible, tug at the remnants of her humanity. Memories of similar times, breaks spent laughing with colleagues, sharing stories over coffee, flood back, making her current state even more poignant and painful. For a moment, Leah lingers, absorbing the echoes of a life she once took for granted, now as distant as if belonging to another world. As she resumes her stealthy journey towards the exit, the weight of her solitude grows heavier. Each step feels like moving further from her past self, each quiet click of her joints a reminder of what she has lost. The amulet, sensing her vulnerability, whispers not of comfort, but of the power to transcend these human weaknesses. Variables. DF82, the emotional toll subtly impacting her physical state. Hum, 1 of 45, many. Day 1, Nocturnity of Reflection, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Narrative motive, constant vigilance and stress. Having momentarily lingered by the break room, Leah resumes her careful journey towards the exit of the department store. Her path leads her close to the main security hub, where night guards monitor the screens showing live feeds from all corners of the building. The risk of being caught heightens as she approaches this critical area. Just as she nears the security hub, a routine sweep of the lights begins. Leah's heart, metaphorically frozen in her chest, skips what would have been a beat. Quick thinking and her newfound agility as a ball-jointed doll mannequin allow her to duck into a nearby utility closet just as the security lights pan over the area she had been seconds before. Inside the closet, surrounded by mops and cleaning supplies, she presses herself against the wall, barely breathing, barely moving, her joints rigid with tension. After what feels like an eternity but lasts only a few minutes, the lights move away and the routine sweep continues along its programmed path. Leah waits for a moment longer, ensuring the path is clear, then slips out of the closet and finally makes her way out of the store. The cool night air hits her as she steps into the street, a stark contrast to the stifling tension of the store. Variables. DFI 78 minus 2. Day 1, Nocturnity of Reflection, 8 p.m., Narrative motive, vulnerability in the real world. Freshly emerged into the night, Leah begins her trek towards home, navigating the city streets with cautious steps. The uneven terrain of the city sidewalk presents a new challenge for her ball-jointed doll form. Each step on the cracked pavement and occasional pothole tests the limits of her delicate joints, which creak and strain under the unexpected demands of real-world navigation. The sounds of the city at night, a distant siren, the murmur of late-night traffic form a backdrop to her precarious journey. At one point, a misstep sends a jolt through her, causing a sharp creak in her right knee joint. She pauses, the pain a stark reminder of her physical limitations and the ever-present risk of damage that could render her immobile. As Leah continues, each step grows more tentative than the last, her focus entirely on maintaining her integrity. The city lights cast long shadows, and she maneuvers through them, her form a ghostly presence against the urban landscape. Finally, she reaches the front of her house, the familiar sight a small comfort after the arduous journey. DF6-2, wear and potential damage from the uneven terrain. Day 1, Nocturnity of Reflection, 8 p.m., narrative motive, distrust and fear of rejection. Standing at the threshold of her home, Leah contemplates the familiarity of the space that once offered comfort. Now, as a ball-jointed doll, each room looms as a test of her new limitations. Despite the physical journey ending at her doorstep, an emotional journey looms within, contemplating whether to seek Alex's support. Leah wrestles with the idea of calling Alex. Part of her yearns for his voice, for the reassurance that she's not as alone as she feels. Yet the fear of how he might react to her current form gnaws at her. The possibility of rejection, of revulsion, or fear at her transformation holds her back. Could he understand this drastic change, or would it shatter his perception of her, possibly ending their relationship? As she hesitates, her hand poised over her phone, the silence of the house amplifies her isolation. The amulet, sensing her indecision, whispers insidiously, suggesting that revealing her secret might lead to irreversible consequences. Laya's thoughts spiral, caught between the desperate hope for understanding and the terror of being cast aside. Variables. DF576, the mental strain of this decision subtly affecting her physical state. 130. Here's the image depicting Leah as a ball-jointed doll mannequin standing at the threshold of her home. The scene captures her hesitation and emotional turmoil, set against the dimly lit interior of her house, highlighting her vulnerability and the poignant moment of decision.